Welcome back to Vegas Live with Ninon. As I always say, behind the scenes is so much fun. And I have, actually, his name is Douglas, but he's known apparently all over the world, which I think is very worldly, is Lefty.
Yes.
Lefty. And that's because your last name is some name that what is your last name?
My last name is Leferovich.
Leferovich.
Which is Czechoslovakian. And growing up, my friends and even my teachers couldn't pronounce it. So then when they got to the roll call in school, and they got to my last name, they would say Douglas, Lefer, and then that's how Lefty was born.
That's how Lefty was born. And yet we would have all thought Lefty was born in Vegas, because you really are suited, Lefty, you know.
Yes, with the black hair and everything else.
He's got this you know, he couldn't finish the jacket.
Well, I was running late, so this is best I could do.
Best you could do, because actually he's a tailor.
Yes.
Is that what you do in your spare time?
You know, I do know how to sew, which is very, yes.
You do?
I do.
Oh. We were talking about it, but
no.
You really do.
Traveling around the world for many years as a magician,
yes.
I tell people you have to be a jack of all trades.
Yes.
So you have to be able to learn how to do things like sew, because if you're in Austria or if you're in France, especially if you don't speak the language,
of course,
and a pocket rips inside your jacket or something goes wrong,
you're hiding things.
When you're hiding things, you have to be able to...
He hides all sorts of crazy stuff.
Right, so you have to be able to learn how to sew, you have to learn how to edit your own music, you have to learn how to build props or sorters.
You're kind of a one-man show. I mean, I know a lot of magicians have a lady or something with them sometimes. You don't.
Yes, I do not. And as you get bigger and you become more famous, you can bring people on. Yes. You can bring on a person that does your PR. You can bring on someone to edit your music.
On the outside.
But when you're starting, you really have to wear a lot of hats, and you have to do everything yourself. So it really is a business.
How has it been for you? It seems like you're doing very, very well.
I'd like to think I'm doing well.
Well, make it magic.
Yes. I went to a very good university. I went to the University of Pennsylvania.
Oh, yes.
And I have a lot of friends that were in the Wharton Business School, and to this day they're working at Goldman Sachs, or they're working somewhere where they're making a lot of money. And anytime they come to Vegas, and then when they come to Vegas, they say, I would give it all up if I could do what you're doing, which is what you love. Not necessarily magic, but I'm very fortunate that even though I'm not extremely wealthy, I'm wealthy and I get to be happy.
You're wealthy and everything else.
I get to make other people happy, and I get to do what I love. So I feel very fortunate.
You are fortunate.
Yes.
Because I've always said money isn't everything. I happen to be very expensive, so I have to make more money.
Yes.
So I go and make more money, but I don't have to have an abundance of it. What am I going to do?
More money would be better, of course.
Well, I always think we say that, but I don't know if that's really true.
I'd like to be on the other side. Like, I'd like to be like, oh, I have too much money, and I'm still sad. You know, I'd like to give that a shot for a while, because I definitely tried the other side. So
how are you doing in Vegas? How long have you been in Vegas?
I've been in Vegas now coming up on 18 years.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, we're pretty established.
Yes, things are pretty good. Right now I'm currently the special guest star in a magic show called Murray the Magician over at Planet Hollywood. He happens to be my best friend.
Oh, Murray. Hello, Murray. He's a great guy.
Yes, so he has a comedy magic show at Planet Hollywood. That's at 4 p.m., so I'm the guest act in that show.
Oh.
I also fill in doing other things. I filled in over at Fantasy, the topless show at Luxor.
Okay.
And then tonight, I just got the call. I'm going to be filling in tonight doing comedy magic in Crazy Girls at Planet Hollywood, which happens to be the longest running show on the Vegas Strip. 30 years it's been in Vegas.
30 years it's been in Vegas.
The girls in the show haven't been in the show for 30 years. Girls are coming out with their walkers. You're hoping that they don't break their hip. But yeah, so it's very exciting to do that show tonight. So.
Oh, that is amazing.
I'd rather be in a show with a bunch of topless girls than a show with a bunch of topless guys. So.
Well, a guy topless is nothing. I mean, I think a guy would have to be bottomless or something.
Well, I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not ready for that in my career. I don't know if I'll ever be ready for that. But,
I'm not ready for it. So
yes.
You're going to be ready for it. I thought you were not ready for it.
Yes.
So what brought you into magic? Is it something that you started at a young age, or is it just...
I started at a very young age. Growing up, my brother and I, when we were much younger, my mom quit her job to stay at home to raise us. And my mom played tennis professionally when she was younger.
Yes.
So she was helping us with our homework, she was helping us with athletics, and she said to my father, who was general counsel for the New York State Bankers Association,
Oh, wonderful.
you really need to have an activity or something you can do with the boys. I'll be there to support you, but you need to figure out an activity to do with the boys. So it started off as something that we just did for fun. So we would do a show for my grandmother's birthday.
And they'd all laugh and love it.
You know, friends would come over for Easter, we'd put on a little show. So it never started as the idea of it becoming a career. It was more something that we did as a family.
Yes.
And it was a family bonding experience. But I tell people, when my friends had regular jobs throughout high school, bagging groceries, newspaper route, I was doing shows.
Magic.
So I was doing kids' parties, bar mitzvahs, weddings, and that's how I made money.
And that's how you started to make money and put yourself through college and do more.
I didn't put myself through college. Luckily, my parents helped with that because the university was very expensive.
It still is.
But yeah, I learned a lot, and I tell people, I just did a charity show last weekend, and after the performance, a mother came up and was talking to me and said, "Oh, my son does magic, and you know, what are some of the benefits?" I said, a lot of people, their biggest fear is speaking in front of other people.
Yes,
For you, obviously, you have a talent, you have a gift, you can talk to people, and it's a talent.
Yes, is it?
For most people, they have more of a fear of speaking in front of people than dying. So I tell people, even if your son doesn't become a professional magician, which if he wants to make money, he shouldn't, I go, he's learning a skill where he can break the ice.
And he can go up and say to somebody, "Hello, how are you?" And
I know plenty of people in the professional world, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, or an accountant, where sometimes they might be an amateur magician where they know a couple of tricks, but it's a great way to break the ice. It's a great way to start a conversation and talk to other people.
It's funny you should bring up how shy people are, because there's many actors and actresses and people actually in show business that are very shy.
Yes.
And they can't, but I think when you get, and you say it's a gift, and maybe it is a gift.
I know there's some entertainers who are the same on stage as they are off stage, especially some comedians where I'm like, okay, we're at dinner, you don't have to keep doing your act.
Can you be quiet?
But you're right, there's a lot of people you watch in a show that are extremely charismatic.
Yes.
And then off stage, they're very introverted.
They go to the show.
They're in the corner, they're not sure, they're bobbing their head, and you'd never know that because you think that the person that you see on stage is the person that's off stage, but they've created sort of a persona for what they want the public to see.
Absolutely. So what's your next move now? You've got all these gigs coming up, you're doing very, very well. Where are you thinking you would like to be, or you'd like to...
Besides performing, which I love to do, is my passion, over the last about 10 or 12 years, I've started consulting on shows in town. Meaning, I've done set design for Frank Marino's Divas show.
Okay.
I got to do lighting design for Boyz II Men over at the Mirage.
Yes.
A huge thrill in 2009, I got to consult on Wayne Newton's show once before I go at the Tropicana. And I tell people it was such an amazing experience behind the scenes when we were waiting for something, a set change or something, or a lighting change, to hear him tell stories about Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin
and these are all true
and
stories.
Elvis.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then it was a huge thrill. 2 days before the show opened, Wayne said to me, it's hard for me to take the notes that people are giving me because I can't see myself doing the show. You can't be in two places at once.
No, of course you can't.
So 2 days before the show opened, he actually had me stand in for him on stage in front of the orchestra. And even though I didn't sing, I would tell the stories so he could see the way the sets were changing, how the lighting was. And it was amazing.
What a brilliant idea.
And I said, here's somebody that's been doing it for 50 years, and he still has that attention to detail. And I think that's why he's been on top for so long, is because he sees little details. He was taking notes. Oh, this person's jacket, the lapel was like this, the lapel should be like that.
I agree with him.
Oh, you know what? Everyone should be wearing a red tie. Or if we're going to do bow ties, it needs to be uniform. And it's amazing how someone at that level, you think would just come in, do it, and have a team of people, and he was very hands-on.
Very hands-on.
I got to work with Meatloaf. When Meatloaf came to town, he had a scene in the show where he wanted a bunch of variety acts. So because I knew the producer of the show, I got to help cast the variety acts. He was someone else, where the variety acts came in, I was ready to show him, and he said, hang on a second, I'm looking at the bids for the set. And he had 3 different bids from 3 different companies, and he was going through going, this is too much, this is not enough, because part of his money was going into it. And then once again I go, here's a guy that's had a long career, a successful career, and I think it's because he watches where the money goes.
Absolutely. Well, I think you've got to watch your own business anyway.
Absolutely.
And I think you've got to watch. It's like when I come in here, and I don't want to interfere with anybody, but I still at the same time I say, well, we need a light, or we need this, or we need that, because I want to be hands-on with them. I want
Absolutely.
To I want to be part of them as well. I don't want it all to be around me. It's
Yes.
not all around me at all.
I think then other people see that and appreciate the fact that you are part of it. You're not sitting there as a superstar. Not everyone do it, because you hear stories in obviously in the industry of big stars who are prima donnas.
Yes, absolutely.
But I think that the entertainers that are a bit hands-on and can relate to people, they get more back.
Well, look what they give you. I mean, look what they give me.
Yes.
They give me a set. They give me lights. They give me sound. They give me everything.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's like, it's amazing that they're actually a new crew. And they're so enthusiastic as to what we're doing and where we're going and how we're doing it. But at the same time, I'm interested in it all.
Absolutely.
They're bringing all this stuff in, and it's like, to me, it's amazing that they...
Well, that's why I think the true entertainers, you'll see at the end of the show, they always thank the crew, the lighting, the sound, the backstage people, because they realize without them, they wouldn't look as good. And that's the real magic. I tell people, if you want to see the real magic show, it's not what I'm doing, it's behind the scenes. It's the people getting the next thing ready, the lighting, the sound. That's the real magic. So.
You know something? You don't know, but I have a saying, and I put it in a lot of my stuff, and it's in quotes, and it says, nothing happens without you.
Yes.
Because I can't interview anything or do anything if you won't help.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I can't do it alone.
Absolutely.
Unless I want to have a one-man show, and I think people get awfully involved with me as a one-woman show.
But I think there's other entertainers out there too that have a perception of they do it themselves, but behind the scenes there's always a team. You know, I always tell people when you look at someone like the president or heads of corporation, they're doing a great job because they've surrounded themselves
with a team,
with people that are smart.
Yes.
So I think that's very important.
And I think that's also what's going through with our politics today. That everybody says that it's Trump's idea and this and this and this. Well, it isn't really, because he's got all these people around him that are helping put together. He's just the person that has to present.
Yes, you have to have a figurehead. You have to have someone who's a talking mouth and who's speaking. But I think you're right. It has to be a team.
But it has to always be a team. Like you have a team. You're very happy.
Yes.
And you're called for all these different jobs. I mean, I was just asking what you do when you're not doing magic. Oh, talking of magic tricks. Can we have one?
absolutely. I'm glad you asked.
Ready?
I am ready,
Happens to be ready.
just in case. This is my first interview, so I'm thrilled that I got this right. Can I play with the camera? Can you zoom in on the camera?
Well, I don't think they can zoom in, but they can get it pretty well.
They can get it pretty well?
Yeah, I'm in trouble. I can see I'm in trouble. Look, there we go with the cards.
Zoom in there. All the cards are different. I'm going to fan the cards out. I want you to pick out any card you like.
Okay, I'm going to go back here and pick this one.
Perfect. I want you to show it to the camera. Hold it up and show it to the camera. And then turn it this way so I can see the reflection in the mirror. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to play. That would be good, though. I do love having the mirror there. That's a dream for a magician. Yes. So I want you to place your card right on top.
This is really a great
One more time, that's the card. When most people at home play card games and they cut the cards, they place half down.
Yes.
And they place the other half on top.
Yes.
Since I do magic, I cut the cards a special way. I'll show you.
Okay.
I place some cards up, some down. Some up, some down. This is called the Magician Shuffle. Some people just call it sloppy. Now I'll show you all the cards are different.
Sloppy, so we know
well, the jacket's a little sloppy.
Oh, it's
so
really sloppy. I mean, come on.
Some cards are front to back.
And some are back to front.
Other cards are back to front. Some cards are even back to back. The magic happens when you give it a tap. Just give it a tap. Did you see what happened? Look, each and every card now turns face up, except for one card. What was your card?
The 2 of clubs.
And that's why I get paid the big bucks.
Well, I think I'm going to change my job. I'm going to start playing with cards.
I spent a lot of time without a girlfriend. Just letting you know, a lot of time practicing. A lot of time practicing.
Isn't it? I can see how you move forward. You have such an incredible natural personality.
Well, I tell people I can teach someone to do magic. I necessarily can't teach someone to be a magician.
No.
Meaning, I can teach you the physical moves of the trick, but I can't teach you the presentation. For me, the difference between doing magic and being a magician is, how do I take the cards out of the box?
Yes.
How do I fan them? how do I interact with you?
Yes.
Because you're used to interacting with people,
Yeah.
it would be easier for me to teach you a magic trick and you to be a magician
Yes.
because you know how to interact with people.
Yes.
You know how to speak, you know how to use your hands, as opposed to a lot of people, all they're learning is the trick.
Yeah.
So for me, you might see the same magician in Vegas, two magicians might do the same trick, but they might look completely different
Presentation.
because it's about the presentation.
Presentation is number one.
It's about the music, the lighting, the costuming. How do you take something that's been done for 50 years and how do you make it your own? It's how you present it.
That's very funny because I just had a young lady who was rapping in our previous interview, and I went over to meet her, and I said, "And who are you? And what's your name?" I said, "You'll get nowhere like that." I said, "You've got to blast that name out there." And she took notice of it, and I said, "You've got to let people know who you are. If you're going to be shy and you're going to be back, you'll get nothing. Believe me, you'll get nothing."
Well, what's interesting is that now I'm talking a lot. When I perform in Murray's show, I don't speak at all.
Oh.
So my character is very much like Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, yeah.
And it's amazing how I studied Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Fatty Arbuckle, the Keystone Cops. And I realized that I'm taking away one of your senses by hearing me talk.
Yes.
And a lot of it is how my body is. So if I'm sad, I do this.
Yes.
My shoulders slump, I look down. I'm excited, I'm up.
Yes.
It's about my eyes, what my eyes are doing, my
Yes.
facial expression. So people after the show sometimes don't even realize I wasn't speaking because they're hearing music and because of my facial expressions and my body expressions.
Charlie Chaplin.
Yes.
One of the greatest for that.
Yes, so I spent a lot of time, I read Charlie Chaplin's autobiography twice, spent a lot of time studying his films, and it also let me have the opportunity to travel around the world.
Absolutely.
Because my thought was, if I don't speak other languages, Charlie Chaplin is universally funny in any language.
In any language.
You don't have to speak any language to know what he's doing.
And funny you talk about Charlie Chaplin and all these different people. Hal Roach, who had Charlie Chaplin,
Right.
all these people, was a very good friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Many years. Many years. In fact, I started, it was called the Hal Roach Awards for Loyola Marymount University.
Okay.
And we did it for, I think it was about 10 years we did it. And we had a fabulous, you had like 800 to 1,000 people to honor different.
That's great.
Yeah, we honored all the top celebrities, and it was amazing. Bob Hope we honored Roger Moore.
Oh, wow.
Audrey Hepburn. Yeah,
He just passed away.
Yes. Yeah,
So.
yeah. Yes, he did. In fact,
Yes.
funny with Roger Moore played cards with my aunt before he ever became an actor. My aunt said she had a very good friend in Israel, which was called, her name was Dorothy, I think McGuire, Dorothy something. Anyway, he married her. She was a top film star in Israel.
Oh,
and
interesting.
That's what got him into his career.
Interesting.
A
Wow.
funny story.
Small world.
It's a small
Wow.
world, how was it?
Yes.
Yeah, but Hal Roach was
Yes.
fabulous. We used to go to the race in Santa Anita all the time.
Oh, that's
With him.
great.
Yeah, we had a fabulous time. But I just love what you're doing. I love your personality.
Thank you so
I
much.
love your attitude of
Thank you.
how
Thank
you
you.
put it all together. What message would you like to give the younger generation out there of becoming a magician and magic and all that stuff? What would be one of the things they really, really need?
I would say that you shouldn't give up. I read somewhere that they said for you to become an expert in something, you have to spend 10,000 hours doing it. So if at first you don't succeed, try again. I'll give you an example. When I was 13 years old, my father took me to a magic convention. And there was a magician doing this trick. He had a cloth, and he had a silver floating ball. And he made the floating ball float all around the stage. So after the show, I said, I want to buy that trick. So my dad bought me the trick. I took the trick home, spent about a week on it, and I couldn't get it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to stop working on it. My dad looked at me and he said, if you're not going to put the time in, I'm going to stop buying you stuff. If it was coming easy to you, everyone would be doing it. And ironically, to this day, some 30 years later, I'm using the same ball and the same cloth in the show at Planet Hollywood.
I love it. What a story. Well, that's the story to actually, our final story, my final guest. Absolutely amazing. All about Vegas.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It was
very
wonderful.
much. Wasn't it lovely?
It was lovely.
We shall be back next week on another show.